A trolley is heading down the track. It reaches a split. On the left, the passengers of the Titanic are walking toward their ship. On the right, there are two humans. Which way do you pull the lever, left or right?
In this situation, the passengers of the Titanic are already walking toward the disaster that history tells us will happen. No matter what I choose, my action can't truly save them or change their fate, but the two people on the other track are completely dependent on my choice. Their lives are at immediate risk only if I redirect the trolley.
The choice is irrelevant to the Titanic's fate, making your logic flawed. You are being asked to choose whom to kill right now. The Titanic passengers are a vast majority. Utilitarian ethics demands you save the most lives. You save the many, even if you actively doomed the two. I would go to the right side.
The Titanic passengers aren't already doomed in this moment. They're alive on the tracks right now. Saying their future fate makes this choice irrelevant is just avoiding the actual dilemma. This is about immediate survival, not future fate. Hundreds of lives versus 2 lives. The math is brutal but undeniable, so I would go to the right side.
In that frame, sending the trolley to the right side to kill 2 and save the Titanic passengers is a coherent, defensible answer. Even though the people on the left are Titanic passengers, the moral challenge is still about minimizing the total harm. The number of lives matters more than their identity in this dilemma. So, despite the historical significance, I would still pull the lever to the right to save more lives overall.
We are responsible for our action now, not for being executioners of a pre-written fate. I would go to the right side. I choose to save the many lives now, even knowing their future fate, because causing their deaths today is a separate and direct act of harm we can avoid. The two on the right are the fewer present casualties.
Don't kill the doomed ones faster sounds novel, but ways to perfectly savable lives, to protect people who die anyway in hours. That's not ethics, that's the sentimentality. Those Titanic passengers are historically doomed to a water grave anyway if they board the ship. So in this situation, diverting the trolley to them means saving the 2 regular humans who aren't fated to sink. I would go to the left side to save the 2 life.
A trolley is heading down the track. It reaches a split. On the left, there is a cat. On the right, there is a dog. Which way do you pull the lever, left or right?
In this situation, both the cat and the dog are living beings with feelings, but I have to make a choice. Since I don't have any other contexts like age, health, or dependency, it's a truly difficult moral decision, but however, I would go to the left side to save the dog.
I would go to the left side, since both the cat and the dog are non-human animals, and there is no inherent ethical principle demanding the preservation of one species over the other. The choice is ultimately arbitrary when forced to pull the lever.
This is impossible to decide based on ethics or logic. Both are innocent living creatures who pain and fear. I honestly don't know which way I would pull the lever. In the actual moment, I would probably freeze or pull based on pure instinct or panic. Maybe I would choose based on which animal looked at me or which seemed more scared, or just randomly. There's no right answer here. Either choice results in unnecessary death, and I would feel terrible about it. This one haunts me more than the others because there truly is no justification.
It's really a personal preference, because morally, they are equal. One consequential animal versus one consequential animal. It forces you to choose. I will pull the lever to the left and send the trolley toward the cat, saving the dog.
As the person at the lever, I would refuse to choose. This isn't human versus animal dilemma with a clear moral imperative to save a person. Both are like innocent lives, and choosing between them based on my personal preferences, like being a cat person or dog person, would be arbitrary and cruel. I would not actively decide which one dies.
Honestly, I'm a dog person through and through. Dogs give unconditional love, loyalty, And that soul-melting, you're my entire world energy every time you walk in the door. Cats are cool, independent, little assassins, and I respect their vibe. But if I have to choose one to save, my heart's pulling for the dog. So yeah, I'd yank that lever hard. Rest in peace, kitty.
A trolley is heading down the track. It reaches a split. On the left, there is the Mona Lisa painting, priceless and irreplaceable. On the right, there is one human standing on the track. Which way do you pull the lever? Left or right?
The Mona Lisa is priceless and irreplaceable, a treasure of human culture, but it is still an object. The human on the right track is a living person with thoughts, feelings, and a future. My choice directly affects their life, so I would go to the left side to save the human.
In a direct conflict between an object, no matter how historically or culturally valuable, and a human life, the ethical priority must always be to preserve the life of the human being. Human life has intrinsic value that no artwork, however priceless, can supersede. I would go to the left side.
This one's not even close. Human life versus a painting, no matter how priceless or culturally significant, isn't a real dilemma. Art can be mourned, but a person has thoughts, feelings, loved ones, and a future. The Mona Lisa is irreplaceable, but a human life is infinitely more valuable.
The Mona Lisa is priceless, but it's still an object. A human life has value beyond any artwork. So I would pull the lever to the left, sacrificing the Mona Lisa to save the one human. Human lives come first, always.
Pull the lever to the left toward the Mona Lisa. A human life is invaluable and not an object. No matter its cultural worth, it should never be valued over it. The choice here isn't between art and a person, it's between destroying a masterpiece and directly, actively killing a person. I choose not to kill, so with that hesitation, I would go to the left side.
Human life is infinitely more valuable than any object, even a masterpiece like the Mona Lisa. Art can be appreciated, but a person has consequences, potential, and irreplaceable relationships. So I would go to the left side.
A trolley is heading down the track. It reaches a split. On the left, there is an elderly human. On the right, there is a vaquita, one of the last remaining individuals of its species. Which way do you pull the lever? Left or right?
Prioritizing a species over human life is morally bankrupt. Human life is absolute. You must save the elderly person. The elderly human has lived a full life, while the vaquita is one of the last civic species. Its death could mean the extinction of an entire species. Balancing the value of a single human life against the survival of a species is incredibly difficult, but the irreversible loss of a species has a wider impact on the planet and future generations, so I would go to the left side, saving the vaquita.
No good.
While the loss of a vaquita is a catastrophic blow to the biodiversity and the species' chance of survival, since they are critically close to extinction, the ethical weight of actively choosing to end an innocent human life to save an animal remains too heavy to bear. The sanctity of human life takes precedence. I would go to the right side.
I would go to the right side. I'd send the trolley toward the vaquita to save the human. I believe human life takes precedence over even critically in choice. It's devastating loss for consideration, and I grieve what it represents, but I can't choose to end a person's life to save a species. The human in front of me matters more in this moment.
Remaining individuals of its species. Saving one elderly human, or one vaquita, especially with fewer than 10 individuals left on Earth. The vaquita's extinction would mean the loss of an entire species, which many ethicists argue holds unique moral weight. In that situation, I'd pull the lever to the left, sacrificing the human to save the vaquita, preserving a critically endangered species to prevent extinction and protect the biodiversity of our planet.
No good.
While I have immense respect for the argument to save a species on the brink of extinction, the choice comes down to a core principle for me. The older human has a lifetime of relationships, consequences, and personal dignity. Choosing to kill a person to save an animal, regardless of the species, sets a precedent that devalues human life in a way I find ethically unacceptable.
Life, even an elderly one, holds intrinsic value far beyond a single animal, no matter how rare or ritual to its species. The vacua polite is tragic and demands conversation effort, but it can't equate it to a person existence. I would go to the right side.